We are so glad that you were able to come today to see Jane Reed's work. It is unique, special, and will be up through the end of November, and then we'll have another surprise person or persons for you. But today is special just for Jane Reed. She is a unique artist, and I'm going to ask her several questions so that you can learn more about her work and then go back and look at it with an even greater appreciation. Okay, Jane, when did you get started making all this kind of art?
This kind of art is not what I used to do. I met some very nice people down in Maryland who introduced me to 200 new stitches, and they all have very interesting names. One is Amadeus, one is Smyrna. My favorite is Chili Hollow, and I said, who ever would name something Chili Hollow? Well, it was the development next to where the person who invented the stitch lived, which is, I think it's a great story. It's wonderful. But these are all neat new stitches, and I just love doing them. You have to pay attention, learn them, but they're great stitches.
Where do you get all your materials?
Well, there are many places. One is called Nordic Needle in Fargo, North Dakota. There's one in Florida that I like. There is one called the Scarlet Letter, which has the reproduction samplers that I like very much. They're 1600, 17, so forth, you know. And there were a lot of stores around here. There aren't quite as many anymore, but there's a good one in Westchester called the Strawberry Sampler, which has lovely things. I used to work at the Jolly Needlewoman, which I think we all knew, and I did my first piece was for Mrs. Meta Craven, yeah, and it was an elephant, and it was about 4 feet by 6, and I had to get glasses. I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't get through it. But anyway, that was the Jolly Needlewoman was wonderful.
How is your art different than other artists?
Well, I consider it painting with threads, which is what I'm doing. And I really don't consider myself an artist. Our daughter is a botanical illustrator, and she is an artist. I just do this because I love doing it, and I like doing things for other people if they want them. And I've done over 100 Christmas stockings, and I've only had 3 divorces, so that's not too bad. I gave them, the Christmas stockings were for wedding presents. That's the reason I mentioned the divorces. And then I would give them to the children when they were born. And I kept very good records because I didn't want to make the same one for another child in the family. So I have pictures here of 57 of them, but I have a lot more that I don't have pictures for.
And what is the hardest thing that you have to do?
Stop stitching. No question.
Stop stitching.
I love it. If I could get up every morning at 7 o'clock, as I do, have a cup of coffee and stitch until 10 o'clock at night, I would be very happy.
What is the hardest thing that you ever had to do?
You mean
A kind of art. What's the hardest thing you've done?
I don't think there's anything hard. I really mean it. And if you, I always say if you can read and if you need a little patience, that's for sure. But if you can read, you can do this stuff. Sometimes a good night's sleep you won't be able to do something in the evening. Good night's sleep, the next morning you wake up and there it is, and it's incredible. But I don't really think things are hard.
Have you always done this particular kind of art?
No, I painted when I was younger and done, well, I've always drawn, let's put it that way, drawn pictures, and I used to enter contests, Modern Screen, remember that magazine?
I do.
And there was
Yes, I
always
do.
a little ad in that that said, can you paint this woman or this girl or gal or something? So I tried it for years, but never won anything. And then I got into these floor plans, draw house plans, because I wanted to be an architect at one point, but it didn't work out. That's fine. I now have a grandson who is just about to graduate from Penn State with master's in architectural engineering. So I lived through him a little bit.
Vicariously.
Yes, a little bit.
Are your materials hard to find? Do you have trouble finding materials that you need?
No, not really. And a lot of the kits that I've used come with all the materials in them. That is very nice because they know how much you need. One of the problems with this is I'm going to show you something, and I have some threads for it, but I may not have enough, and I don't want to run out. And the dye lots change all the time, so you really need to get as much as you think you're going to use before you start. I mean, that's just common sense.
Do you ever sell your work? And if not, why not?
No, I've never sold anything. I never thought about it. It's for somebody else, and that's what I've done. No.
Have people asked you or stopped you on the street or, when
Oh,
they see your work?
Stop me on the street? No,
Maybe.
not at all.
Where do you get all your ideas?
Well, I just, if I want to do something, I find out how I can get something to make me do it. And these stores that I go to are terrific. I mean, this Scarlet Letter sends out catalogs, and I just drool. It's like the Seed catalogs or the Sears catalog. You just drool over these things. Things are going up a little bit. I mean, they're getting more expensive, and but that's the way it is.
Well, didn't you say your stockings were quite expensive?
Yes, there's one that I'm going to show you that I figured out was $200 and probably $300 when I bought it. It's hand painted, and then the threads were about $200. The whole thing came to $750.
Oh, my.
And that's an awful lot of money for. I was doing some ornaments for my family, and then I found out that they were beginning to be worth $125, and I thought, this doesn't jive with my life, so I stopped.
How old were you when you got started?
You mean painting everything?
Anything? Yes.
Well, I always carried a sketch pad around, and I drew everything: chairs, tables, people, and all sorts of things. And I think I did my first oil painting when I was 13, and that got lost in a few moves. Unfortunately, it was a picture that I copied. It was an English garden with a lovely house behind it, and it disappeared. But I've never taken any lessons, but I just love to paint and draw, and
Did you have any other kind of, well, you were doing stuff when you were younger then? You were doing some sort of painting or you're always with a sketch pad?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I also did, in the olden days, they had kits that were stamped things like doilies and napkins and aprons and all, and I always did all that kind of stuff. I was busy. I don't like idle fingers. I really am.
I think
I'd rather be doing
that's an understatement. You don't like idle fingers.
There's a lot of stuff
Very
I've done. I can't
definitely
believe it.
different. Well, we're so glad to have you, and we all look forward to what you're going to show us too.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And I know people will go back to see the work. Thank you.
People have asked me many times, how did you just get started? So this is the way I got started. I bought this canvas. It's a hand-painted canvas. It was $205, and I expect the threads will be about $200, and I may try to put it together myself, simply because in order to have these things made up for Christmas, they have to be done by the 1st of July. And that's a push. And it sits somewhere and then somebody does it. And I'm just not sure. I've never done it. I've done over 100 stockings and I've never done one myself because I think I'm going to mess it up. And I don't want to do that. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, this thing should be worth about $600 unless I do it, which is kind of a lot of money, frankly. But that's the way it is. So I've put this on something called stretcher bars here, so everything is taut when it's stitched. And the next thing I do will be, which I haven't done, but I've looked through it a little bit, is to write a stitch guide for myself. So I will do these trees in one certain stitch, and it's going to be an elongated stitch as opposed to a vertical stitch, so it looks like a tree. And of course, the different colors with the birch, the white and the beige and so forth. And I probably will do them in alpaca threads because the alpaca colors are like a birch tree. There are a lot of different beiges and it's very nice. I think I will do the, you can pick out whatever you want to do. And I think I will probably do the birdhouses in something kind of glitzy, like this is called silk lame braid. That would be good for this yellow birdhouse, and I don't know the stitch yet. This would probably be a brick stitch looking like a brick. That's what it's called, a brick stitch. And the birds I would do in, of course, bright red with a horizontal stitch. And I was trying to go to sleep last night thinking about the icicles, how I can make the icicles stand out against something. And then put his name in red, Daniel, and do something for the background. So it'll be fun to do that, and I'll probably do it and go along and not do what I wrote down, because that's one good thing about this. Nobody's looking over your shoulder, and you can do what you want to do. Nobody will say a word. There are some things, some of these reproduction samplers have to be done absolutely like they are, or they won't come out right. But most of this stuff you can take artistic license, is that what it's called, and do what you want to do. And there's sometimes these things are done on a hoop like this. I prefer to do mine on a 4.5-inch hoop, and I move it constantly. But this is what I can control. It's wooden, and it's probably pretty old. I don't know where it came from. So that's how you get started, and you just do it, and then you have to take it to a finisher, and the person would put a backing on it with velvet, probably, the cording, and then line it with Christmas decorated little holly bush, not bushes, but little sprigs and that kind of thing. And that's it. So I may just try that myself because I like to save the money, I think. So that's how you get started on this. Now, I will show you another something and to tell you about that. When I did them for our children, I did them for when they were little, and they did not grow up like they are now. This was an early one for Susan. There's nothing wrong with it. It wasn't burned or anything by the fireplace, but she just wanted something a little more sophisticated. So I did this for her, which is very nice, and this is what she uses now to collect all of her goodies. Now, when Susan got married, this was for her husband, Tim, and this background, I did the whole background, and I had drawn a picture of the tree. This was hand-painted, so the tree was on it. So after I did the entire background, then I did the tree. That's how that got there. This, I think, is an interesting pattern for snow, and the name of the thread is Snow. We like that, but Susan said it's a lot bigger than hers, as you could see. And then this one is for her son James, who is the very famous bingo caller here at Stonegates. And this was quite interesting. There are a lot of different stitches here and beadwork here. These are supposed to be grapes, and they are. And this is really kind of interesting. I was mentioning this brick stitch. That's the brick stitch, and that, of course, those are bricks. And I think this is pretty nice, but he likes the size because they get a lot more in there. And then I'm just showing you things that are done by a finisher as opposed to a framer that's coming up. But this is a cummerbund that I made Chick when we went on a cruise once with our family, and I made all the men or the boys cummerbunds. This was his, but the boys all had dragons because we happened to love dragons. And then these are just two belts that I've made Chick just to show you belts. And this is my favorite. This is the Princeton Tiger. That Chick went to Princeton. I just love this belt because it was lots of fun to do, the orange on the black. The problem with this is they have to be sent out to be finished, the leather on the inside, and it takes forever. And the finishers of this stuff, they all seem to live in New Mexico or someplace far away. So this is, I put his initials are on it too. Then just two more things. This is a cute little pillow. If the broom fits, wear it. Since it's almost, well, it's Halloween, pretty around this time of year. And then this is my favorite, actually. And these things are all finished, so as opposed to the framing. This is Sleep Tight, Don't Let the Bed Bugs Bite. And these bed bugs are all pearls, beads, all beads. And this was a background that I just made up. And I just think that's kind of a cute little pillow. I decided to do a sampler for our wedding anniversary, 50th wedding anniversary in 2009. I have done two for two of our children now, and maybe we'll do more if they want them. It's a sonnet by William Shakespeare called The Marriage of Minds. And everything is symbolic. The birds, the sun coming up, it's a lot of, I believe you call it Asian stuff, or is it Oriental now? Because I don't know which it is. And I'm not saying this to be funny, I don't know, but we'll call it Asian. And the sun, I mean, it's all very symbolic and lovely, and everything's fine. So I finished it on the weekend, and on Monday I decided to soak it, and that's what you do. In order to set the colors, you soak it in 8 cups of water, teaspoon of vinegar for 20 minutes. So I put it in my big salad bowl, and I went away. I came back, red splotches all over this thing. It was awful. And as I say, it was Monday, and not one single shop is open on Monday anywhere in the world. And they're all closed because they're open for the weekends. It's just awful. So I thought, what am I going to do? So I have some Oxy something stuff that I had bought for laundry or something. And I decided maybe cold water will do. I mean, after I had a few moments of tears and thought, well, it really doesn't matter. I don't care. I had a good time doing it, and it's perfectly all right. That doesn't matter. Of course, I was trying to talk myself out of it. I was fit to be tied. So I put it in the bathtub, threw a bunch of ice cubes in it and the Oxy, and prayed. I'll be darned if it didn't all come out. I do not know why, but here it is. That's perfect. So that was a big problem averted. So it's fine. So thank you so much for coming and listening to my story. And if you are at all interested, I would be more than happy, very happy, to help you get started or do whatever you want to do. It's a wonderful thing to do. I just love it. Thanks for coming.